Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling. And man, I really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel and spending some of your day with me. And we're going to be talking about some of the biggest mistakes anglers make fishing during the summertime of the year when the water's hot. I'm going to give you guys some good tips and advice. There's really a lot of options to catch bass in the summertime, so we're going to sort of go over that and sort of concentrate on some do's and don'ts, and think it's going to add up some good fish for you guys over the next couple months. Also, guys, quick invitation. I just like to invite everybody, anyone interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me. You can do that by going to my Facebook page, Randy Blaukat Professional Angler. Just shoot me a private message. And also, guys, we do have channel memberships for Intuitive Angling. If you guys would like to go to the next step in supporting the channel, as a member, you get extra videos, private videos that are not seen by the public each week. And all you have to do is go to my YouTube homepage, click on the join button for info, or just get into my video description and I'll get you the info there. So really appreciate that. Okay, at the time of filming this video, first week of June, sort of like, the start of summer, June, July, and August, sometimes early into September is what we classify as the summer bass fishing months. And I sort of want to talk about some of the mistakes that a lot of people make and some of the things you can do to avoid those mistakes, because depending upon the body of water that you fish, there's a lot of different things that could potentially work or not work. So let's get into that a little bit. Now, first of all, I think one of the biggest mistakes a lot of anglers make is when the summer gets into full swing, like in July or sometimes late June, sometimes July. A lake, if it has fairly deep water, like if you got water depths of 50, 60, 100 foot in the lake you're fishing, usually there's some type of a thermocline that forms. And the thermocline, to make a long story short, it's basically, where you've got a separation in water temperatures to the point of where you don't have a lot of oxygen below a certain depth. So a lot of lakes in the summertime will form a thermocline anywhere between, say, 20 to 30, maybe 40 foot deep. And below those depths are not going to be very productive. So you can't really fish like super, super deep in the summertime. A lot of times if you're fishing the bottom in the summertime, you're relegated to fishing 25 feet or less. Now, that doesn't mean you can't fish deep water for suspended fish, because those fish will suspend above the thermocline and over really deep water. But that's one of the biggest mistakes anglers make, is not factoring in that thermocline when they're looking for fish. Okay, the next thing that people mess up on a lot is there's two big myths in summertime fishing. Number one is that you have to get out early in the morning because it's going to be hot and there's an early morning bite. And number two is that you have to fish deeper in the summertime, like 20 foot deep, or for suspended fish. Both of those are not true. I'm not saying that you can't do either one of them, but it's a myth to think that is the predominant way of thinking in fishing. I have found in my own personal fishing that's probably some of the least productive early morning fishing times are in the summertime of the year. Now, I can catch fish early in the morning, especially like in the springtime of the year and the fall time. But in the summertime of the year, you don't have these bigger numbers of fish that move in and out of deeper water real quick, that get up there and stay shallow for long enough to catch them early in the morning on top water. You can pick up a few, but most of the time they're smaller fish, and that window is very, very small. So I don't even waste my time getting out early in the morning. I have found in my own fishing that, like a lot of other times of the year, that period of between like 9:30 and 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon is the best time to fish in the summertime. And that's what I've seen. I mean, over the course of 50 years, I've seen that over and over again. So don't feel like you have to get out there early. Also, it's important to remember that every single lake has different populations of bass that live in different depth zones. It doesn't matter if the lake you're fishing is super clear, 10 foot of visibility, or if you're in a mud pit. You've got some bass that they'll live a little bit deeper than the other bass. Some bass will suspend, and some bass will live shallow the whole time. Now, another thing to remember is that bass will suspend in dirty water as well as clear water. They suspend in larger numbers and more frequently in clear water lakes, but one of the best bites I've ever got on in my life for suspended bass, guys, was on Truman Lake. I did this twice on Truman Lake. Middle of summer, super hot, water temperature 85 degrees or so, and I got onto some suspended fish that were suspended around shallow cover in 5 or 6 foot of water. They weren't on the bottom, middle of the day, and I was like swimming worms and throwing crankbaits for suspended fish in that dirty water. So the point of the matter is based upon how you like to fish, there's always something for you to do in the summertime of the year. If you don't like to fish deep, you don't have to. You can catch them shallow all day long in the summertime of the year. If you don't like to fish shallow, you can fish deep and catch them all day. So given that, let's talk about a little bit about some of the techniques that I like to utilize in the summertime of the year. My own preference as far as for summertime fishing is I look for off-colored water. I don't enjoy fishing deep water. I did it back when I was fishing full-time professionally. I did it because I had to. So I got really good at fishing ledges and deep water, cranking deep water and cranking drops and all that stuff, fishing ledges. I can do it. I've done it. I've done well in tournaments. I've won a lot of money doing it. But I don't like to fish like that. So I look now for the shallow water option. So that being the first place that I look in any body of water that I have is as I go to the dirtiest water on the lake that I can find. And anytime that you've got dirty water on the lake, that is where those catchable population of shallow fish are going to be. I don't care if the water temperature is 95 degrees, they're going to be there. So I get into the dirtiest part of the water and a lake, and I fish whatever cover is available. If I got lily pads to fish, I'll flip lily pads. If I got rocky banks, I'll throw a square bill crankbait on rocky banks. If I got docks and lay down trees, I'll flip a creature bait or my throwback jig in those trees. But I stay in that type of water, and I look for that type of water, and I really pay close attention to the subtleties of catching fish in that shallow water, because there is not as many bass in shallow water in the summertime of the year, but you can catch those fish if you are really efficient, and that efficiency lies within figuring out the speed or retrieve of the bait you're fishing, the color, the profile, all that stuff. So I spend a lot of attention to detail, focusing on the size of crankbait they want, the color of crankbait they want, switch it up, mix it up, trying to get a feel for the fish. And I can usually do pretty well. I mean, I can hold my own fishing shallow on about any lake across the country. So that's the first thing I do. The second way that I like to catch bass in the summertime is suspended on hard structure. Now, two of my favorite places to catch bass in the summertime are on floating boat docks and on bridge piers. Bridge piers and floating boat docks always have a big population of fish on them. My favorite way to catch them on both of those areas is a Megabass Vision 110. I'll throw that 110 next to those bridge piers. Same with the boat docks. I'll fish that 110 on the sides and the corners of the docks. And it's nothing, guys. I've had a lot of like 30 and 40 fish days on a jerkbait in the heat of the summer with that. A lot of times what I'll do also, if I know the fish are there and I'm catching a lot of fish, I'll back it up with a secondary bait of like a little small swim bait and throw that in there, and that can work pretty good as well. But those are the two primary structures that I like to fish. Now, if I am fishing deeper, say for example I'm forced to fish deeper in the summertime of the year, I'm looking for hard structure breaks. I'm looking for drop-offs that, points that drop off into deeper water, rock piles, brush piles, that type of stuff. And my number one bait is a 10-inch worm, like the Old Monster Zoom or a 10-inch Old Monster Magnum, and a football head jig. Those are the two best summer baits. Sometimes a big swim bait, I'll take like that Megabass Freestyle and slow roll it on the bottom. But I'm looking for drop-offs, and the drop-offs can, like I said, if you're on a TVA lake, they can be on ledges. If you're on a lake in my part of the country, it could just be an end of a point or something like that. But anyway, guys, that's the main thing. I mean, those are some things that'll work for you guys. If you're on a lake that has vegetation, it's going to offer some more, different opportunities for you. But if you fish traditional man-made reservoirs, those are some things that'll work for you also. Hope it helps out. We'll see you later.